Yeah, the thing that has been I mean, I'm working on quite a few different things, but one of the things that was really good yesterday was when they announced I think it's in Cowork, that you can create a skill, you can record what you're doing. It'll take the recording, it'll follow it, it'll create a skill, and then it'll do it. So, like for valuing real estate investment properties, there's a whole process I do in the multiple listing service that we subscribe to. And I have data in Airtable, and I get that data in Airtable, and I enter the address into the multiple listing service and check the flood zone, and then go to a different screen in multiple listing service and put in the different parameters as far as pulling comparable properties. So I recorded it, and you record it, the screen recording and the sound, and I just went through the entire process, got it to create the skill, made a few small corrections, and I said, okay, here's an address. Go in and do this. And it literally went into Airtable, looked at the information that I showed it should look for, went over to the multiple listing service site, started entering the information, clicked the right tab to check for the flood zone, got that information, went to the other tab, entered the address, entered the square footage, all the information, found the comparable properties, went back to Airtable and put a comment in it and saved it. And it was amazing. So it's simplified things. And I know there have been ways of doing that before with other tools, but this is literally just in Cowork that I've got the skill created now. So I can have it do a lot of the things that I do. And it's just made the whole aspect of automating things so much easier. Because last week, one of the people's classes that I'm in, he automated. There's a CRM called Go High Level.
Yeah.
We use a version of that, and they have automated abilities to create funnels and things like that at this point in time. So and they now have a new MCP that's come out. So he was in Claude Code. He developed a skill that did the exact thing that that was talking about, where it can click around and it find different things. And it went in and put the instructions into its AI funnel builder and literally built an entire funnel just by him giving the instructions to Claude Code. So now they've moved that into Cowork for people, which, as far as working with businesses, which is what I do, small to medium businesses, that is going to be a great service to be able to sell people, is to help set up these automations, and it's going to simplify us being able to do it by just having them go through the steps and record it and so on. So that just came out yesterday. So in addition to all the other stuff that I had going on, I jumped onto that right away, and it was very easy and it was very quick to do, just by being able to give it the instructions of click here, and now I'm going here and doing this. So that would be the biggest thing that I could share. I don't know if you've tried that yet. Um,
That's pretty amazing. I love it. So let me ask a couple questions. Was your Mac or PC?
it's a Mac.
So was your Mac driving after the skill was set? It actually you watched it, open the
Yes.
browser, go to the application.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah, and I'll find, let me see it, because we can't, I don't think in Zoom, let's see, is Zoom gonna
It's almost like an old
allow?
macro. Remember the macros you could
Mhm.
do? You could write
hmm,
macros with
yeah,
Word.
yeah,
It's like that, but for everything.
Oh yeah.
and
Uh let me see if I can
and it
find
works.
the image. And it
Yeah,
did. And I went and tested it out. I shared it with a local group that I'm part of.
So
So that's the post from X. And it talks about, and it basically, you click on the little plus mark when you're in Cowork and you're in the chat, you click on the plus symbol, and one of the options that it has, let me do this again because I haven't done this since yesterday, is record a skill. And it's got a little image like a camera, a video camera. So that was all I had to do, is I did record a skill. And then there's certain steps after that as far as enabling permissions on a Mac and so on. But I just had the tabs open in my Chrome browser because it's going to use the
right,
Chrome browser extension.
yeah.
Um, and just recorded it and said what I was doing and showed with the mouse arrow and described every step along the way. And that was how I did it. And then it wrote the skill. And then
I
I
love it.
read through the thing and made the corrections and then tested it. And there was like one thing that it didn't do because we used two different tables in Airtable on the same record, and it was writing the comment in the wrong table's record. So I just corrected that because it wasn't showing up. So I corrected that, and now
Yeah.
it's working fine. But that's something new that came out yesterday that works. And because I tested it out, it works very well, and it absolutely simplifies the whole aspect of automating things to a
Yeah.
click this, record and say what you're doing, create the skill, and now you've got the skill from that point on. So now I'm going to be showing it to a couple other people today, and then I'm going to take it further steps because this was just like the first step that I did. But trying to do it through a CLI or API, you have to have the ability to do that. And with things like
Mhm.
multiple listing services, unless you're a brokerage or you're paying a huge amount of money to them, they don't give general subscribers that access. Um,
Right. Right.
and and so this is it doesn't need it because it's using the Chrome browser extension in Cowork.
Right.
Anyway, so that was pretty exciting. So it's something if people are looking to do something like that, and I'm just on the pro plan now. I am planning to upgrade soon.
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting that you have access to that.
yeah,
Well, they'll take that away from you, so you'll pop the max user account in a minute.
yeah,
Question though,
yeah.
I noticed the now we've had a bunch of changes in the last few weeks with
Sure.
Cowork. I was gonna highlight some of them. Most of us know about it, but one thing in particular, you're able to do you're able to open up the global, or it must be the browser inside of Cowork, and then which you weren't able to do before, and
It's not
see the
doing it
browser.
inside of Cowork. It actually goes to Chrome.
So you're saying it's a Chrome extension
Correct.
that pop okay. Because I see a Chrome extension, or I see a Chrome browser inside my Cowork, and I see there's another part. Hey Gina, welcome. And there's something else. Oh, background task. I'm in code. Never mind. So,
That
sorry.
makes a difference.
Yeah. So Cowork though had some um
Yeah, there's
interesting.
Claude
Um,
in Chrome is an extension, and then
right.
there's also a connector that's Control Chrome.
Right. That's local. That's
Correct.
local on to your desktop, and then the Chrome extension is when
Claude
you
in
want it to drive the actual browser.
Correct. So
Yeah.
it's using that as opposed to doing it the other way in the
Yeah.
desktop app. It's actually
Yeah.
going to, and I have to have an instance of Chrome open for it to be able to go and do it. And then I can just go do there and it sets up, you know how you can have tab groups in Chrome?
Yep.
It sets up a tab group
Yep.
for that particular function that it's doing. And then it has the tab for the MLS site, and then it
Yep.
has the tab for Airtable. And I have to be logged into them before it starts
Yeah.
doing its work.
Yep.
But that's how it does it. And yeah, it worked flawlessly.
How
So there's a group, and then you're logged into both the applications, and then it can access those through the so it's doing everything from Cowork in the browser
Yeah. I don't even have to have it open. I have to have logged in at some point in
logged
time
in.
in
Yep.
Chrome, but
Yep.
it opens a new tab with
Yep.
Airtable and a new tab with the
Yep.
MLS. And then it does its little thing with the arrow that's got the halo around it, there's glow around it that then starts moving. And it
Yep.
was very, very slow because I'm watching on one monitor
Right.
what it's
Yep.
doing and another monitor in Chrome what it's saying it's doing. And I asked it about that, and it said, well, one reason is because what it was doing is it was going there, taking an action, doing a screenshot, then taking a
Yep.
screenshot, evaluating it, and then doing the next thing. And so then when I asked about doing it faster, it said it can group or bunch it. or bundle
Good
the
batch.
steps instead of
Yeah,
each single one that it's
right.
going to have to go through that whole thing. So I'm going to be trying that today on a couple different ones that I need to do to make sure that it's going a little bit faster because it was painfully slow.
Yes.
Very
But
slow.
it's
Yeah,
also
Yeah.
something I could just walk away from
right.
and say, okay,
Right.
finish this, and I'll come back a few minutes later and doing it. Instead of spending 5 minutes doing that, I can be working on something else. So,
Did you notice it gets stuck anywhere? Because I know I did the exact same thing when I was like trying to research all my classes because there was like 200 plus classes that I needed to like find out all the teachers and find out the class locations, find out the rate of my professors. So I used that exact thing, but it would kept getting like stuck. Like it would get halfway through, take a screenshot, and then all of a sudden get stuck when nothing changed at all.
yeah, the volume of what it was dealing with on mine might have been less than yours. So it wasn't like having to scroll and do, I mean, it was like the screen was
Hmm.
just there and it wasn't scrolling down through a bunch of data. It was actually going to different fields, filling information in, looking to see if there's a number of results. If there is, it would click the tab to open the results. So it wasn't doing much scrolling or anything like that in
Okay.
mine. So that might be part of what you were running into in yours.
Yeah, that's happened to me, Jacob. When it's doing a screenshot and what it's looking for isn't there, it knows the next step is it has to authenticate or push a button or whatever it is, and it can't see it, so it'll scroll down, take the screenshot. You can push it along too. You can scroll up for it and just hit whatever it's supposed to do next, and then it'll take the screenshot and say, "Oh, you already did that." Okay. One one lesson, never use haiku for this. I thought, oh, I'll use haiku and they'll pay me to do it. It'll be so cheap. It took about 120 turns, where Sonnet took 30 to do the exact same thing. So haiku's cheaper, but it's super good. And haiku had to ask me at least 20 questions in
What's the
that
point of
time
haiku?
on what to do next. It's like poor haiku. Yeah. I'm looking for that to be retired soon and whatever the next one is. But Ron, that's a brilliant use case. I love it. I'm interested. When I get done, I'm gonna go record something and make a skill. I built a content library and with the brand canon and all the things. So I was trying to, I'm using skills in I'm building out some skills based on the path that I want. I'm just gonna make a workflow, automate everything, but that will be a perfect use case for what I want to do.
Yeah, because in the past it was either you had to describe it in words or you had to use screenshots and then
Yep.
describe it in words. And being able to describe as you're doing it, for me at least, for other people it might be different. For me at least, doing the process, which I do every day multiple times, and just running through it and saying what I'm doing and where I'm going, was fairly simple to do. And for its ability to take that and then create the skill and then duplicate the exact steps the way that I did it,
Yep.
that I found valuable for this use case. For other things, it might not be, but I think there's going to be quite a few in a lot of businesses, like I said, because I think this is going to be something that'll be valuable to help set up in businesses.
Yeah.
Because I went through an extensive training on Cowork, even
Yeah.
though a lot of stuff I can do in Claude Code and I've been doing for a
Right.
while, but most business people are more at the level of Cowork than
Hmm.
code. And
It's
code is,
production. Yeah.
yeah, and code is more for software and for
Yeah.
coding. And this is more for automating tasks and
Yeah.
accessing things and using that, which is where
Yeah.
most business people are. So I went through extensive training by somebody who put together an entire process of onboarding where you go through a wizard that gets all of your personal information and business information and so on, and it's set up in a Cowork folder that you work out of. So you don't have to keep giving it the info. It was a very nice setup. So I'm looking at adapting that for businesses
Mhm.
when that's an appropriate thing to be doing with them. And then this is just another thing where it's like telling people to create SOPs or write up their hats and like, yeah, well, I'll do that when I have time, which is never.
Right.
But being able to do it this way, I think a lot more people are going to be able to put this into use, which is great. And so that's why I said, as far as when I work with businesses, I think this is going to be something additional that's of value that can be offered to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The production value for I did I think 7 different departments, and then I created like 3 or 4 onboarding lessons for each department based on what they can do because they're like, I don't know, what am I going to do with this? I'm like, and I put it in the HTML lesson plan like I normally do. They just copy and paste what their context is, and then it does it for them. And they're like, and then schedules it so then they don't have to almost never do it again unless context change, and it's a repetitive task. So yeah, I've got a lot of good feedback on that, and it's super easy to set up. Once they get it, it's daunting. If you know, I realize how involved we are in how we know things, how things work.
Hmm.
And somebody asked me simply, where do you start? Where's the button? I'm like, let's back up. I got a separate session for you. I'm going to take the time, and I'm glad because they're embarrassed. They were trying to just follow along, and that's so hard if you're just not getting it and
Hmm.
you're 20 minutes into it. So I always appreciate when somebody speaks up because I'm happy to take the time to show them or create a private lesson or whatever. But man, I'm
Absolutely.
super excited for that run. I hope so. Did it save you time that I know it took time when you set it up. Like, are you going to be able to just launch this with a batch of addresses and then have it go fill the Airtable and then ultimately find the properties?
Well, there's various different steps. Like the first step is finding the comparable properties.
Hmm.
And doing that step of the research is great, but then I'm going to have it stop for a human in the loop because I'm going to go and review to see are these
Yep.
ones that are actually comparable and which ones am I going to accept. Once I do that, then it can do the next step, which is put the information in there, do calculations that I normally do. So it's going to save some time because, I mean, yesterday morning I had like 7 or 8 of these that I had to do, and it can take 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes to do all the research and do the calculations. And I would say this will easily cut that into a half or a quarter of the time that it took. And for me, at this point in time, I'm not going to give up doing this, but at the same time, it
Yeah.
can take up a lot of the time that I would want to be spending on doing things in Claude Code or Cowork or so on. So
Okay.
this takes back my time from doing that, which is the thing that I use to sell people on my services is, we want to get you back your time so that you
Yep.
can do things that are a higher dollar per hour activity so you can make more money.
Yep.
So I need to be able to do that for myself, which this is part of what I'm doing to do that so I can demonstrate it to people and be able to say I do that because I actually do that. So
Yep.
yes, it's definitely a time saver from what I saw yesterday. It's going to save a huge amount of time for me.
Yeah. That proof of concept and being able to know it because you built it, that's can't shake that. You can sell the outcome on that every single time.
Yep.
That is awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And hopefully, the next step is after you get that fine tuned, you build an agent to double check the work, the human in the loop
Mhm.
outcome, to then take it another couple of steps to reduce your time even more of having to analyze it if it meets certain criteria. And I can see an extension on there of another agent coming in and looking at the output and then feeding it to you. So you have 2 different sources looking at it to really verify. But you know what the details are. You can just look
Sure.
at it and understand. Yeah.
Does it adjust based on like, so you said that you as a human overviewer are like saying this is good, this is bad. Does it adjust based on what you're saying? It's like the reason it's bad.
Yes and no, because I have it set up with certain criteria now. Because when you're looking for comparable sales in real estate, you want to have them be within a certain distance. You want to have them be within a certain time frame as far as when they sold. You don't want to take something from 5 years ago because things were different 5 years ago. You don't want to go out 5 miles because it's different neighborhoods. You stay within a certain distance and square footage. You don't want a 10,000 square foot house compared to a 1,000 square foot house. So I have all those built in. And I watched it yesterday because I said, well, I want to try and get about this many results. And it did the thing and it said, well, I only came back with five. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the radius from the property that you're looking at, the distance from it. And it came up with eight. And it said, okay, so now we're close enough to the number that you want. So it's able to do that. But as far as then the judgment factor on the ones that it comes up, that's taken years of working in real estate investing and understanding how to compare different properties and see what the values are and be able to throw things out. So it's possible that I could program that, but that's an extensive amount of programming to do for something that I can just look through them in about a
Yep.
minute and a half and say, okay, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Does that answer your question, or did I get off track?
The answer is I was just wondering if like it could have its own like kind of loop where if you could put like a note in of why it didn't work, it could then learn from that mistake and maybe change it. But I understand if the experience like gap is too wide.
Yeah, it actually did fine because I said within 15%, either larger or smaller of the square footage of the one we're looking at, within a 1 mile radius, within 90 days as far as sales and so on. And what it did is it went and it was exactly right with the square footage. It calculated it exactly and it put it into the multiple listing service field for the square footage. It said 2050 to 2900 or whatever it was that it did. So it figured that and it did it perfectly right. It did all those steps correctly, but it's like the number of results it got back wasn't correct. And so it knew I wanted, like 10 to 12 maybe. So, well, we only have five. So let me go in and change the distance, which would have been the thing that I would have done. And I didn't have to give it that information. But when
That's
I
cool.
I programmed it in Fable 5
Yeah.
in Cowork.
Yep.
So, and it took very short amount of time for that to get figured out, but it figured out all these things. So I didn't need to have any loops or anything like that in there because it's fairly straightforward. It's
May,
four
may I ask
criteria.
what